Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's first video. We're doing the ECMWF 30-day look ahead for today's first video. So it's also on a Tuesday, we're having a look at the weather for the next 4 weeks across Northern Europe with the extended ECMWF model. Actually, we'll look at weeks 5 and 6 data with this as well. It's like a 30-day look ahead, but we can't extend out to week 6, so why not do that for you for this first video. I shall get on that for you very shortly, just so it's coming up later on today. We have 10 to 14 day, which will include all of regular features, so that'll be coming up later on. Big thank you to ECMWF.int for supplying us with the charts, of course. Let's get on with it then. We're going to start off with week 1 mean sea level pressure anomaly, taking us through this week, 22nd to 29th of March. The coming week going to be quite unsettled for northern and western Europe anyway, with low pressure around Greenland and Iceland in the North Atlantic. High pressure though will keep much of southern, southwestern and central Europe mainly dry, a ridge extending in from off the Atlantic, even going up towards the eastern part of Europe as well. Jet stream will be coming through something like this. So clearly the most unsettled weather will be through Ireland, the UK, in towards Scandinavia and northern parts of Europe, but really through France, Germany, and down to Spain and Portugal through much of Med, dominated by high pressure, a lot of dry and fine weather, and this ridge does extend over towards the eastern side of Europe as well. Week 1, 500 millibar height anomaly shows this up very nicely. Again, low pressure is in the North Atlantic. High pressure across the southwest of Europe, extending northeastwards. The flow and the jets going through something a little bit like that. So again, Atlantic driven with the most unsettled weather in the far northwest of Europe, but many parts of Europe actually will be dominated by high pressure in the week ahead. Temperature anomalies for week 1 look like this. Warmer than average across the northern parts of Europe, especially through Scandinavia. The anomaly there is going to around 6 to 10 degrees above average. Wow, very mild week coming up through there. Going further southwards, we see that we've got above average temperatures through like much of Poland, Germany, into Belgium, Holland, Netherlands, back into France and the UK as well. Spain also having a mild average week, and Portugal too, but from France over towards the Balkans it actually gets colder than average, so there is a swathe of quite cool weather through this sort of central part of Europe. It does get colder as we're coming towards the east and the southeast of Europe. Mediterranean wise, again pretty mild through Spain and Portugal, but anywhere east of that looking quite cold. Italy, for example, looks quite chilly, and particularly so down towards Greece and Turkey, where it is significantly below average with the temperature anomaly. Precipitation wise, we see the most unsettled conditions in the extreme northwest and southeast of Europe. So this far southeastern corner from Black Sea going down into Greece, especially through Turkey, above average precipitation there, and also through Scandinavia and into Ireland and the UK, above average precipitation through there as low pressure becomes more dominant. But elsewhere we've got that big ridge extending in from the Atlantic up to Northern Europe, so most places are drier than average from like Spain and Portugal in the southwest up towards the west of Russia in the northeast. Most places under a ridge of high pressure looking pretty dry. Right, that's week 1 done. Let's have a look at week 2. This is going to take us from the 29th of March to the 5th of April. So this week looks rather different, actually. Quite a big change taking place here, with high pressure just covering many parts of Europe, actually. This is a little bit at odds with a lot of the model output for next week as well, I have to say. But high pressure dominates, especially across many central, northern and eastern parts of Europe. Got some lower pressure down towards Spain and Portugal, and there's also a ridge developing in the Atlantic, a bit of a mid-Atlantic ridge. That's going to try and get wind into the north, down the western side of Europe. But actually most parts of Europe will be dominated by a mild, even quite warm southerly winds, I would have thought. Week 1, 500 millibar height anomaly looks like that. Just very settled, really, with above average heights from the Atlantic into much of northern, central and western Europe. Some lower pressure in this far southeastern part of Europe, but otherwise high pressure is dominant in week 2. Week 2 temperature anomaly does look significantly above average. Again, the far east and southeast, we've got some below average temperatures through there. So that's the chilliest part of Europe. But through central, northern and western Europe, it does look very mild. Even you'd say quite warm with those deep orange colours, you know, flooding northwards. So yeah, really mild week coming up there for much of northern central west Europe, but it is colder in the far east of southeast Europe. In the Mediterranean, again, we see most parts of the Med are milder on average. So from Italy all the way back to Spain and Portugal, above average temperatures through there. But in this far southeastern corner around Greece and Turkey, again, it does remain colder through there, and that extends up to the Black Sea into southwest of Russia. In terms of precipitation for week 2, that's how we're looking. So again, generally quite dry through many areas, especially the central parts of Europe. So through the central part of the Med, extending north into France, into some Germany, over the Adriatic into the Balkans, drier than average conditions through there. In the far northwest, it's a little bit above average, perhaps, across Scandinavia, and maybe parts of Ireland and the UK, hinting at being slightly above average with precipitation. Perhaps a little bit more unsettled for Spain and Portugal as well. Right, let's move through to week 3 then. This will take us from the 5th through to the 12th of April. More changes in the placement of the ridge. This time the high pressure is more out in the Atlantic, actually, although there is a very weak ridge that's extending eastwards through northern parts of Europe. But I think this could be starting to pull wind into the northwest here across western parts of Europe. So perhaps getting a bit colder, or cooler anyway, across the northwest Europe. Some low pressure down towards Spain and Portugal, also extending into North Africa, which is quite unusual. So I would have thought quite chilly across the western part of Europe, but maybe quite warm across eastern parts of Europe. That warmth that we're having week 2, West Europe could get pushed eastwards as we go through into week 3. We'll look at temperature anomaly in a moment. Week 3, 500 millibar height anomaly. Again, does look a little bit different. This is, again, 5th to the 12th of April. So the high pressure is in the middle of the North Atlantic and extending northwards towards green, low pressure to North Scandinavia, possibly pulling the wind and the jet stream into a northwest-southeast sort of alignment across the north and west of Europe anyway. Week 3 precipitation anomaly is going cooler across the northwest, while in the UK seeing a little bit of a cool down. Going slightly below average there. Central Polar there, a little bit above average. Otherwise, the signal is weakening. I think the general idea is probably that the warmth is being shunted eastwards a little bit in this week, and the west and the northwest of Europe is starting to cool down. And the week 3 precipitation anomaly. So it's drier than average in the North Atlantic. You can clearly see where that ridge of high pressure is currently through the middle of the North Atlantic, extending up towards Greenland. Those dry conditions do extend in towards Ireland and the UK as well. It's a bit wetter than average through Spain and Portugal. Much of the southeastern part of the Med is drier than average elsewhere. Again, there's not much of a signal. Right, go through to week 4. Can take us from the 12th to the 19th of April. Weakening signals as ever. We've got a mid-Atlantic ridge. We've got a trough of low pressure over Scandinavia. Still that sort of area of low pressure across North Africa and southern Spain, which is quite unusual. And then we've got a ridge over on the eastern side of Europe. So again, I would have thought mildest in the east of Europe, probably coldest in the west and in the northwest of Europe with that sort of setup. The week 4 500 millibar height anomaly, again, looks like this. A ridge through the east and southeast of Europe, a ridge in the North Atlantic, trough of low pressure to the northwest. Definitely looks more unsettled, and I think cooler for northern and western parts of Europe. Mildest and driest in the east and southeast. The temperature anomaly for week 4, again indicative of quite a cool week across Western Europe, so from Scandinavia all the way down Spain and Portugal, slightly below average temperatures there, above average temperatures through much of the Med, even into the eastern part of Med, and probably, although it's a weak signal, probably extending up the eastern side of Europe with those above average temperatures too. And then the week 4 precipitation anomaly, just looking rather unsettled in northern and western parts of Europe, so Scandinavia, back to Ireland and the UK, above average precipitation there, and through Spain, Portugal, into the central part of the Mediterranean, again, rather above average with precipitation through there. So wettest, most unsettled conditions in the north. In West Europe, driest and warmest conditions in the southeast. So that's for the 30-day okay, don't just very quickly extend through weeks 5 and 6. So this is how the week 5 mean sea level pressure anomaly is looking from the 19th to 26th of April. More changes. It looks like we'll go milder with more of a west-southwesterly into West Europe as high pressure builds in through Spain and Portugal and up into France as well. Low pressure around Scandinavia, so probably flat and westerly, but probably milder for western parts of Europe there. Week 5, 500 millibar high anomaly again, showing me westerlies returning to really western parts of Europe, which will be a milder wind direction at the end of April. Of course, temperature anomalies are lifting up in week 5, and the precipitation anomaly looks like that. So that one can't be loaded, unfortunately. Let's try and refresh the page, shall we? Quite unusual, that doesn't normally happen. Let's have a look then at week 5. Here we go. And that one, so it's a bit wetter than average Scandinavia. Otherwise, most other places are having no signal. But as high pressure ridges in off the Atlantic, probably turning drier across Western Europe. And then lastly, week 6, mean sea level pressure anomaly looks like this. More changes. So very changeable for the 6 weeks to come. Every week has a different sort of setup, really. This time, it looks like we've got lots of low pressure through the Med, which is unusual, to say the least, for like the end of April, beginning of May. This is 26th April to the 3rd of May, by the way. So wettest across southern parts of Europe. Could be very wet and thundery, maybe, across southern Europe there. That's quite unusual. 500 millibar height anomaly shows that high pressure through Scandinavia and up into western Russia. Doesn't really show a trough, though, through the Med. So that's quite strange what's going on in week 6. Temperature anomaly warmest in week 6 in the far north and northeast of Europe, and week 6 precipitation anomaly. Again, looking a little bit wetter than average, especially like from Italy through the Balkans and down into the southeast of Europe. Otherwise, most other places having no signal once again. So yeah, quite a changeable sort of 6 weeks coming up, isn't it? You know, every week looks rather different from one another, and there's a lot there to keep us on our toes. I think there's going to be quite a bit of interest, I would have thought, if that forecast comes off for the next 6 weeks with quite a bit going on. Right, we'll be back later on with 10 to 14 data, including all of regular features, signs that we could turn really quite cold over Easter in model output this morning. I'm not sure many people want it to be cold over Easter, but the signs are there, you know, but we might put down some really quite chilly northerly winds. So I have more about that in 10 to 14 data, which will be coming up later on. For this ECMWF 30-day look at, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.